Hey guys, welcome back to Overtakes. This is Misfit.
And I'm Kel.
And today we are going to start our playoff preview with the first match of the night on Wednesday, and it's going to be the Philadelphia Fusion versus the Boston Uprising. We're going to dive into depth on this, and then the next episode we will get into the Gladiators versus the Spitfire. So let's start off. Okay, so what are your initial thoughts on this one?
As much as I'm not high on either of these teams, honestly.
Which makes it almost harder.
Right. But that being said, I feel like I have to end up going with Boston simply because they just are better at all of these maps. And Philly even came out the other day and said, like, we know that our win rates on these maps aren't that good. It's something we're really working on, and we've done everything we can to focus on it. But at the same point, is that going to be enough?
Yeah, and it's not like, guys, it's not like they're like slightly below 50%. On Eichenwald, Junkertown, and Volskaya, they're sub 40%. They're actually at 40 on Eichenwald win rates. Granted, didn't play a lot of matches at Eichenwald because it was only in one.
It was only on stage one.
Stage one,
That's when Philly was like, no one knew anything about Philly at that point. They were kind of new. They were still kind of finding their footing. So that's one that I can understand. But they've had plenty of chances on Volskaya and Junkertown. And to only have a 20 and a 22% win rate on those, that is worrisome.
Yeah, they're very worrisome. And, you know, we hammered everybody, and this is everybody, not just me and Kel. We hammered the shit out of London for doing terrible on Oasis.
Yeah.
22% and 20% is worse than they are on Oasis.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's bad.
That's bad, man. They played at least 10 matches. That means they've lost eight times on both of those.
Right.
Minimum, I would say. Because they've been in two stages, and if they can't, and those are the last two maps in the match.
Yeah, so basically for Philly to win this first match, they have to win the first three maps or they're done.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to count Eichenwald. I think it's really tough to unless you're like 100%. And then it was so long ago. All these teams are so different than they were at that point anyway. Like that one, I think you can kind of throw it out the window. The other two, not so much. Dorado and Oasis, they're about even. Oasis or Boston is a little bit better on Oasis, or significantly better. They're at a 73% win rate on Oasis versus Philly is only at 53%. But I'll still give it to Philly on that. They can pull that out. That's not the significant drop off from Boston's 90% win rate on Volskaya
to their 22.
To their 22.
And that's what you're finishing, or that's the next to last map in the match.
Right.
So maybe that's Philly's plan. They're like, we know we're bad on these maps.
So they got to come out. They got to sweep it right away.
Because they're really good on Dorado. They're 80% on Dorado.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's,
60%.
Oh, 60%. I'm sorry.
They're dead even on Dorado. Yeah. That's at least something they can work with.
With their DPS on the first few maps, they got to take care of business.
Yes.
More than anything. And where I think that Boston's going to have trouble is their DPS has been an issue, but they've had enough time to work on this. I think they're going to come out firing. I think you're going to see a lot of good plays from Striker. Mistakes is going to be, I'm assuming, doing the Widowmaker work on Dorado. But what I'm looking for is for Philadelphia to come out guns blazing, EQO, Carpe, just kind of carrying through through that.
Well, one thing I'm really curious to see with this whole thing is how these two teams go with the double sniper. Because one thing that there's a really great podcast or a really great show between Your Overwatch and King Michael that you guys should totally check out, where they discuss this. And I think it was I can't remember his name from Your Overwatch, but he brought up a point of when Boston went on their winning streak in Stage 3, it was because Note and Striker opened up so much space by having their dive with Tracer and Diva that it just left it open for Mistakes to just do whatever he needed to do on Widow or whatever other character he was playing at that point. So that's not going to be the case when you're running double sniper because you both kind of have to do that. And I feel like they're going to have to run mistakes on Hanzo and Striker on Widow. But I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see
where they go.
Which one of those guys is playing which of the snipers? Because I feel like they're definitely going to run double sniper. I mean, that's just pretty much a given for most of these teams.
Yeah, with how powerful the new Hanzo kit is.
Yeah. Especially with the patch that they're using as well.
Yeah, because they're not using the current patch. Obviously, they're not doing anything with the new hero and all that, but they're using the pre-nerfed Storm Arrow. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, the interesting part about...
And even with the current nerfed Storm Arrow, these guys are still shredding.
Yeah.
It's the newest nerf to Storm Arrow that's coming out, where I think that's on the PTR right now, that I think is going to be what like kind of balances it out a lot more. But I mean, they're going like pre any nerfs on it, so like he is just going to absolutely melt.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see who they run as far as what they run as far as a tank duo.
Yeah.
With that, now I mean they're probably gonna try and run dive, but the thing is Winston is so squishy with that Storm Arrow. Yeah. I mean, and you're going to have to kind of wait it out until he, maybe bait it out of whoever's playing Hanzo, and then dive in, or dive in with Diva and maybe Tracer or something like that. You're going to have to calculate it out. But the thing is you're going to have to counter the one Hanzo with the other Hanzo.
Right.
So which that falls into, if you're diving, are you going to run maybe triple DPS occasionally?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they end up running. Because, I feel like they'll probably end up they'll go with like the standard, you still run you go, for most of it's going to be Rhine, Zarya, Brigitte, Double Sniper, Mercy Zen.
Yeah, and Mercy Zen is just...
or actually, probably, no. You probably
sometimes they run Ana. Like on Dorado, they might run Ana.
I just said 7 characters. That's my
bad.
But
so they would keep Brigitte out.
Yeah, you probably keep Brigitte out
and run Mercy Zen or Mercy Ana.
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to do some kind of like a sort of death ball kind of thing, maybe you run a triple tank and just Lucio with Brigitte. It's hard to say, but the double sniper thing is going to be interesting. I'm assuming for Philadelphia, you're going to have EQO running Hanzo,
right?
If they run it. Now,
but that's the one thing that you can kind of throw in a little wrinkle with Philly that you just can't really even you can't even really contemplate with Boston, and that's Pharah.
Yeah,
and where she will fit into this. Obviously, with the other team running Widow, it definitely limits where you're going to be able to run Pharah. But there's certain points where these guys can run a Pharah while there's a Widow doing their thing, and she can wreak havoc, especially if it's a very slow-moving, tanky type of thing. Like, if anyone tries to run Brigitte, you can bet your ass that EQO is going to bust out that Pharah.
Especially if they're trying to keep it close by the first point, where he will bust that Pharah out up over those buildings coming out of spawn around that corner. Yeah. And that's a good place to run her too, especially if they're running Rhine Zarya, because you can get behind them and just chunk them down, and you can also disturb. Hanzo has some mobility, but he's not that good against Pharah.
Yeah,
Widowmaker obviously is the key to that. Widowmaker would have to you have to get the shots, but if you're running a Pharah Mercy, which I'm assuming they would do, it's almost pointless unless you're hitting all headshots. Yeah. So, that's going to be interesting to see what they do. They do that on Dorado, and then where it goes from there, like on Oasis, and, obviously they're going to do probably similar things on Eichenwald than they do on Dorado.
Definitely. You can run Pharah pretty effectively on Eichenwald, especially the first point and then the second point as well. I mean, really the whole map is a good Pharah map, and I think these guys can do it pretty well. So I think that'll be an interesting little thing to see, and really it's going to be the best bet that Philly's going to have. But the other big question is, they ran the entire stage 4 with Sado and Hotba. Yeah, are they going to continue to do that, or are they going to go back to what actually worked for them and that was Fraggy and Poco.
Yeah, exactly. That's another question you have to have there, because I mean, at this point, Boston's set.
Yeah.
You might see Kelios on something like a Oasis or a control map.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Gamsu and No pretty much all the time. You don't know what you're going to get with Philadelphia and their tanks, which kind of frightens me a little bit.
Yeah, because I mean, nothing against Sato. I just don't think he fits this team.
No.
And the style that they want to play, his style just doesn't work, and it really quite makes me question what they're seeing that we're not, that he's going to continue to keep playing instead of Fraggy, or if they were just like, we want Fraggy to, we don't want anybody to see what Fraggy can do.
I mean, yeah,
in this meta or something, I don't know.
Because I mean, in this with the Hanzo changes and the new patch you're going to be using in the playoffs, you're going to see a lot of Reinhardt.
Oh, for sure. And if I have a guy like Fraggy on my team, I want him playing Reinhardt.
Yeah, I don't want him sitting on the bench and having the guy who's better than average at Reinhardt, but not like the top 3 Reinhardts probably in the world.
Right.
I want that guy in there. And I don't. The only thing I can think of that they've been doing with this is, I was looking at it a couple days ago when I was looking at some of the maps. I was watching some highlights. Is that they want Hotba, Sato, and Carpe in there together because they all speak Korean and it's a communication thing. That's the only thing I can think of, that the reason why they have those guys in there. And EQO, I think, can speak Korean or something like that. But EQO, they all communicate together pretty well. It's just Boombox and Neptuna are the ones that just use English.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
That almost makes me feel like they should just roll with Fraggy and Hoppa and just kind of let Carpe do his own thing anyway.
Yeah,
because I mean, most of the time these guys are communicating, they're all just saying the same thing, whether it's Korean or English anyway. They're just saying monkey, 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 and
point,
get on the point, or
don't C9,
focus mercy, focus, or like that kind of stuff. Like that's really all they're saying.
Mercy
anyway.
mercy one.
Yeah, like so. I don't know. It's weird, and I really think that is going to be the biggest factor on what Boston does, and I really feel like if they don't do it in game 1 and they get curb stomped, then they have to try something different, and they have to go back to Fraggy and Poco just give it a try and see what they can get from it, because this is it. Like this is what they've been playing for.
Yeah, and as much as we've been saying, Boston's been off, the one thing that they have that Philadelphia doesn't have right now is they have the same guys that have been playing in the lineup, so they have a cohesion going.
Yes.
Where Philadelphia has been doing this since late Siege 3. Mm-hmm. With Sato and Hotba. Right. I mean, I know they were kind of waiting for Sato to come in because of that suspension he had.
Yeah.
Oh, and get ready for those next year, too, guys. This isn't going to be the end of that.
Oh, no way.
Not the way these guys are talking. I mean, you guys watch other videos and stuff. Sato and, OGE and those guys, that's the tip of the iceberg on this.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. But
those guys have served their time, so they'll probably not get it, but you can bet your ass there's going to be more suspensions coming from that. And it might have been stuff that they did a long time ago, well before even Apex and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When these guys just didn't, they were just trying to make some extra cash just because we're slowly figuring out the full extent of all of that. And how deep it goes, and and all, and what they were doing and why they were doing it, and it seems like it was just an easy way for a lot of guys to make some extra cash.
Which I can kind of understand from the I need money standpoint.
Oh, for sure.
But from your personal integrity standpoint, it's much like if you guys pay attention to baseball at all in the last 20 years. I understand it from the standpoint of, well, I can take this shit and hit 50 home runs and make $7 million a year, or I can not take and hit 20 home runs and make, league minimum.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You're not going that in those two extreme directions, but you see where I'm going with that. And it's going to be the same thing. People are going to be getting called out for shit they did, 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
Like, hey, I did this tournament where I didn't get paid, or I only got paid a little bit, but by boosting these accounts, I made this much, and that helped me pay my rent that month. Yeah. Type of thing.
It's going to happen.
It's gonna be interesting, but yeah, that was a huge sidetrack. But
yeah, it was a huge sidetrack, but
it is important.
Yeah,
it is important to think about, and it's something that I'm sure we'll see far more of.
And at this point, that suspension is hurting Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if they wanted to, like, my initial point is if they wanted to run with Hotba and Sado to start, and, you know, and obviously it got mucked up, they ended up, but honestly, they fell into a pretty good scenario with Poco and Fraggy.
Yeah.
And I'm with Kel on most of the, the thoughts on that. I kind of fall into I like Poco and Fraggy a little bit better. Are their stats better? Probably not, but sometimes it's not stats.
Yeah.
It's not all hard stats.
Exactly. And the team seems to play a lot better.
Yeah. The one stat that matters is the W's.
Yeah.
And the W's weren't there as much with Sado and Hotba in there.
Exactly.
To me, that's the biggest thing. Sure, you're losing a little bit of, Fraggy's a little crazy. Poco is a different kind of, maybe he's a little bit more aggressive. Maybe they need the aggressive tanks to open up space for
that's exactly
Carpe.
it. Because and that's something that has been made. It's a point that's been made a few times that I've heard that when Fraggy and Poco are playing their hyper aggressive style, it opens up so much more space for EQO and Carpe to just go off. Because like Fraggy will go in, he'll get a pick on somebody, but then he goes down. But then, while the other team's trying to regroup and reset, Carpe picks off somebody.
Yeah,
then EQO's getting somebody, and they're just disrupting, and that seems like it was a much more effective tactic for them than just trying to run the hard discipline,
controlled kind of stuff.
Because they're just not that kind of team.
No, and sometimes calculated and controlled is not always good, especially when you're throwing out the other team off.
Right. I mean, just look at when Philly played against New York in that stage playoff.
They were like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
Yeah. I mean, Philly almost won that game. The biggest reason that Philly didn't win is because Saeason came through with the most clutch shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, in any game scenario ever.
Right.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's like they also just started to they were riding that adrenaline rush from curb stomping before the game before. And they just got burnt out because they played like 12 games that day.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a long day for them.
Right.
But, see, now the thing is I think if they come out with Fraggy and Poco in this, I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but you know what? This is kind of like one of our main points on this match. Boston is disciplined and calculated. If you disrupt the calculations with crazy play, and I don't mean crazy bad play. You know what you're doing.
Chaotic.
You're just
creating chaos.
With their, because Gamsu's very calculated. Note's very calculated.
Even Striker is.
Yeah, Striker is too. And when you start doing weird shit that they're not expecting, they're in big trouble. That team. And the teams that gave them fits are teams that do that.
Yes.
Constantly. Like, even when they played, Shanghai a couple times, they're not calculated at all, and that threw them off. I mean, they won the matches, but...
When these two teams played in Stage 3, when Boston went on that insane run, it took a masterful performance from Striker to bring them back from the brink the brink, and to save it at the very last second. Because they very nearly lost that game, and that was probably one of the closest. I mean, there was a few of them where they all went to 5, but that one especially. I mean, it went down to 99-99 on the third map on Oasis. I mean, come on, how are you going to expect that to happen again?
Yeah, and you can't. See, right now, I would almost, just as kind of a not even a dick move, but they're expecting them. I'm assuming Boston is expecting them to play Sado and Hotba.
Yeah.
Come out and play Fraggy and Poco. Yeah. That is going to change. They will not know what to do. I mean, and I'm not saying all the teams should go out and change their lineup, but this is one where you can kind of do a little deception thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it doesn't work on the first map, switch it out.
And if they're playing the long, I'd love for them to have just been playing the long con.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so let's wrap it up.
All right.
Who is your pick in this first round?
In the first round?
Just in the first match.
The first match.
So like Wednesday, we're just gonna pick
Wednesday.
this.
Yeah.
And then we'll pick who we think is gonna win it overall and move on to the next round.
Right. I'm kind of leaning towards Boston.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's the map things and the unknowns, like we just spent some time talking about with the tank line.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the team is solid, Philadelphia. Their supports are great, their DPS are gods. But it's how they're going to run their tanks is really freaking me out. And the fact that they're terrible on the last two maps of this match.
Yeah. And
by terrible, like they make 20% is just, I can't.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the same thing. I really want to see Philly win this. I really do. I like Philly. I like the players that they have. And I just don't have the faith that they can win these first three maps.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't think that they're completely out of this. I think they can come back on the next two and come back and win it. But this first one on Wednesday, I'm picking Boston.
All right, so we're both in agreement there. We both got Boston in this. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. And like we said, we're doing this bit by bit. So we're going to give you our thoughts on the first match, of Philly and Boston. Then our next episode, we're going to hit the first match between the Gladiators and London. So get ready for that, and then we'll come back at you later in the week and give you our thoughts on the rest of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So don't forget to hit a like. Don't forget to hit a subscribe. Comment down below. Tell us what you guys think. Is going on. We got the playoffs going here. We're getting down to the wire. I want to see what you guys think about this. And also, thanks a lot for all of your support. All the times you guys tune into us and listen to what we have to say. And you guys have a great rest of your day.
Have a good one, guys. Later.